Okay, students, so we are on chapter 4 now, and this is about ethics and social behavior. And I think I'm going to sort of focus more on the reality of what this is discussing. If you think about, excuse me, if you think about social behavior and ethics, how many people here have a TikTok account or an Instagram or Twitter, maybe Facebook if you're a little older? Uh, how many people have seen TikTokers going to a restaurant or going into public and harassing strangers and annoying people and doing obnoxious things for attention? We see that, right? And you see that there's a business motivation, there's a financial motivation to people's behaviors, trying to go viral, trying to become uh, influencers, marketing products, things of that sort. You see people pushing themselves over the edge to try to get attention. And there's a question of ethics in terms of behaviors, of what people are doing, moral questioning to is that right or wrong? Uh, all that plays a role into behaviors. Just because something isn't illegal, the question then becomes, is it ethical or right? And this is a big issue in business. And we touched on this a little bit um, in one of our prior classes, I think our first class we had. So if you think about it in particular, I just saw like a TikTok or video or some sort of this young kid running around in a park, and he's literally running up to people behind their back and he's punching him in the head and he's laughing. And he's literally running around videotaping himself, committing battery, committing serious crimes for views. And he's probably like 17. He doesn't. I don't know what's wrong with him, but you don't go around doing that. So obviously, that goes beyond ethics, right?
The funny part is I think Drake said that in a line was like that the new generation is gonna die for clout. Like people are gonna start dying just to get views because everyone wants to be an influ. If you go to like an elementary school, and be like, what do you want to be the girl? They're gonna be YouTuber, streamer, Instagram, TikToker. They're not gonna say astronaut. I remember I said I wanted to be in the FBI when I was younger. No one's gonna say none of those things. Like people are gonna say YouTuber, TikTok influencer. That's all. That's what I'm gonna say.
So just to answer one of the questions in the chat, SimNet is a separate cost from Connect. For now, just register and pay for Connect. Uh, when I give you guys the okay, you can start to fire up on the SimNet. So there's a separate cost. They're two separate sets. SimNet is for your Excel. You're using Excel spreadsheets. You're learning how to use Excel. Connect is your textbook. That's the main thing. When you take your exams, your finals, your midterms, all that stuff you're going to study is from the Connect textbook. So please make sure you register and pay for that and sign up for that. You have to use my link, the link that I posted on the Blackboard announcements, and also where I showed you going through Blackboard. That'll make sure it links you to my course. So what that young man did was not unethical. It was illegal. It's not as illegal. But you literally have people doing things that are close to or as aggravating as what he's doing, and people are watching it, and it's not good behavior. But if a company like YouTube or a company like TikTok is hosting advertising time and paying people money to showcase unethical behavior, inappropriate behavior, socially inappropriate behavior, then what are you going to do? Oh, wow, that guy's running around with a giant, big ex-football player bodyguard, little white kid running around, and he's literally bumping into people on purpose aggressively. And then this big black dude comes out and he's like, and then he starts threatening the person, and they lawsuits and fights and things of that sort. And I'm using race in this situation because it attenuates the context, the political context. right? He didn't, why is he doing it that way? Why is it what, you know what I'm saying? So it's not arbitrary, right? There's a reason. So I use race in this situation in the description because it motivates the the friction of why you're watching it. And the guy's been sued many times, lawsuits, and he
Are you talking
makes.
about Jack Doherty?
I don't remember who it is. It probably is. You probably knew him.
Like
You
a
guys would
blonde hair kid, right? He's like blonde hair, skinny.
probably. I don't even remember. He's like a short.
Yeah, yeah, it's Jack
Yeah,
Doherty. I know what you're talking
I
about.
think you probably guys probably know. And he makes a ton of money from these insightful videos. And because he's making all his money, he's using the money to have lawyers defend him in court and pay people off because the cost of the legal fees and settling out of court is cheaper than what he's making. And that, the reality though is that if YouTube or any of those platforms just de-incentivize all his videos, they don't have to sue him. Just when his video goes up, he makes zero money on his videos. He would immediately stop doing that. So yeah, thank you. So the problem is that who's enabling this, right? So you could go up and like the example you gave, you can grow up and say, I want to be an Instagrammer, I want to be a YouTuber, or whatever it is. And a lot of kids are into that, especially with things that they're just passionate about. I went to Best Buy. I picked up some cards for my daughter, and he's a young man, but he's not young. he's maybe like in his 20s, his early 20s. He stops me and says, "Oh, uh, security stops you, right? So they stop you. He goes through your bag. He looks through your bag. He checks my stuff. He says, "Oh, you've got cards here. Do you play these cards?" I said, "No, they're for my daughter." But we got this long conversation about like Pokemon and stuff like that. 我买的这是目前是大概1万美金左右，是我的正常的。Let me just mute him. Okay. So we got this long conversation about all this stuff, and he was telling me he used to stream, I think Twitch or something, and he used to do a lot of streaming. And the point of the comparison I'm making here is that he's not trying to be like an Instagrammer influencer. He just literally is passionate about his specific hobbies, and he's out there, live streaming and doing things. So sometimes it's just the way we socialize today in society. Like we're physically on a Zoom call. I'm not in a classroom with you guys. So the way we connect with our hobbies is sometimes through TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, things of that sort. Or whatever platform they have, Threads now. There's all these different platforms. X and the Twitter and whatever. So he's not chasing clout. He's just literally like, this is what I like to do.
Yeah,
So
he's like in his own niche.
he's in his own niche, exactly, and he's
And
just out there.
that's a good way to do it too, because if you find like a good niche where like there's not really that much competition, you could just do your own thing, and people that already do that are gonna watch you. But some people just want to go viral, so they just do like things where like everyone's gonna be like, "Holy, oh, like what the fuck?" Like they're just gonna be like, "What is that?" So they could just go viral for like a quick moment or a quick second.
It's like Mr. Beast, right? Mr. Beast, the first video he did, he videotaped himself or recorded himself counting to 1 million. That's what he did. That's how he started his career. Because I guess back then that was a big deal. Now things are so things have gotten so crazy as to what you need to do to get someone's attention. He recorded himself counting from 1 to 1 million, and that's how he got the attention. And then from that, he was sort of explaining in a documentary, like a video documentary, about how he started thinking about how do I become viral, how do I capture attention, how do I capture people's interest. Now he has this whole empire built on just absolute nonsense. He's got a burger brand, whatever. But his focus, to your point, was on how do I focus on attention, bringing your attention, then bringing that attention into then bringing advertisers and promotion to sell you a bunch of garbage you don't really need. That's what it is. Versus the example I gave is a young man that's just really interested in something and wants to socialize and communicate about it. And from that, you start to get followers and viewers because they're into your content, which is like a holistic, organic way of doing that versus the I'm going to go around and sucker punch people in the back of the head and get arrested.
Yeah, it's
you
like
know?
basically like being authentic and then trying to force something. Because most of the people that do like crazy stuff like that, they're kind of forcing it. You know what I'm saying? And then
Yeah,
the people that
and
do their own thing is more authentic. Like it's more closer to them. Like they're not gonna be that much different from the content.
there's complete genres of describing social media content. It's called clickbait, rage bait. You know, all you guys have heard of all these things where someone makes a fake scenario that's not real just to get you pissed off to comment, how could you do that? Oh my gosh. And it's all deceptive. It's all, to me, it's unethical because you're posting fake nonsense content is not real, content that's fake. Someone pretends to do something that's not a real, it's fake setup, all this stuff just to get you to click, respond, say things, rage bait, whatever, clickbait. And to me, you're growing up in a society where you're seeing things and you're immediately questioning, is that real or not? Is that AI art? And it's just so much deception and there's so much detachment from reality because that's your reality is all pardon my French, but BS. So there's the method of ethics, and I'm putting it in a framework of social media because it's what we're used to. Social media is big business, but I'm focusing the content in this way because literally you could see from our conversation how things that are completely profitable, things that are completely that we succumb to, we look at it, we watch it, we interact with it, we talk about it. Literally, if you look at the definitions of ethics, a lot of it's highly unethical, right? And a lot of parents may feel this is not good for my kids or whatever. But I'm posting content that's fake, not real, as deliberately for the purposes of tricking you, getting you to click into things to look at advertisements. Is that right? You could argue the same thing about putting up a picture of a half naked woman to get you to look and stare to see something. It's a similar clickbait mentality. But this is where we get into ethics, right? Ethics has nothing to do with if something is illegal. It has more to do with the morality, and sometimes
I
morality is
feel like I feel like we lost that. We lost that in the school system. Not yet, and I'm not talking about college. I'm talking about like literal like primary, middle school, high school. There's no more morals. Like there's barely any morals. The only moral school teachers used to be quiet and to listen. That's it. If we're being honest, like that's the only moral you could say that's moral in school.
my
Like
my
you
my
speak about
daughter.
multiple things, and they'll just why are you talking about that? Blah blah. You can't. You talk something. Sometimes you say something that's morally correct, and the school will punish you. Not even like your
Well,
friends or
well,
someone that's
I
disagreeing. The own
I was
school will
gonna
be like, "How dare you talk about that?"
I'm gonna get into that because I was gonna go into right before you cut me off. I was gonna get into social context. That something may not necessarily be morally correct or incorrect, but because of the social or political setting, it becomes morally incorrect or correct. So, for example, something you might do in the US might be fine, but you might do that in, let's say, an Islamic state, and that's a no go, right? Likewise, you could do something socially acceptable in the US, but it could be socially unacceptable in Japan. So, so in those situations, you may be doing something that seems ethically okay, but in another country, it violates the idea of what's ethical. So moral context is also very strongly associated with. It always tells me meeting's over in 10 minutes, but my enterprise account only seems to have the Kini account only gives me 40 minutes. I will try to figure out how I can get around that for you guys. But it's easy to keep our meetings short. So the main issue though is that even when we think about our own personal morality, our own ethics, I was going to use the example. My daughter, she's watching YouTube sometimes, like the kids YouTube or whatever, and then people are like putting in bad videos, like cursing and swearing and nasty things, and they're doing it on purpose because they just want to be chaotic. They just want to be, anti society. They think it's funny, and you're having to deal with this type of stuff as well as a parent and just in general. So I think even if you had, to your example, teachers were morally standing people or whatever you believe is morally standing, society's just blasting you with God knows what. It's just blasting you with all types of stuff.
I
And
agree.
And whether or not you agree or don't disagree, you're being exposed to it. I may not want to look at the Kardashians for the 30th time. Pictures of Skims on advertisements and buses. Like, I don't want to look at that. I don't care about what they have to offer or say. I don't want to look at their sisters' faces. They got so much fillers. Good Lord, these things didn't exist when I was younger. fillers fillers were for people that had like facial reconstruction. You were suffering through like disease or something, and you lost a lot of weight, and you couldn't put weight on. You had muscular degenerative issues, and you would use fillers to fill in the loss of muscle on your face, your lips, so to make up for the issue. Now you could be a teenager in high school, and you can get plastic surgery and fillers to look like a Kardashian. And if that's what your kid's watching, and they're seeing these lips and the face look a certain way, and they're thinking that's beautiful, that's normal, and you don't look that way. No one, no one looks that way. Trust me, people don't look that way. No one's lips looks like that. And you're a man wide looking at thinking that's beautiful. And it's to me like that. To me, that falls into the issue of ethics. That's an opinion of mine, right? But I feel like there's a lot of cultural, social changes that are influencing how we believe what is right, what is wrong, what's normal, what's not normal. And also the businesses then get on board because, hey, I mean, the Kardashians, they're billion-dollar business combined between all the sisters, right? So is that good or bad? If you're a
I think it's
businessman,
more, I think what you're trying to say more is more like we're in an attention-based economy. Like everything that draws attention, basically there's money. No matter if it's good or bad, what you're basically trying to say is like if it drags attention, there's money because if there's eyes, then there's a way to profit from it. You know what I'm saying? Because they're
yeah,
gonna
no,
see it.
you're
They're
you're
gonna
not
talk
wrong
about
about
it.
that. So that's definitely one. That's a marketing aspect specifically, right? The attention-based aspect. I have your attention. I can tell you something you don't want to hear, right? So just because I get your attention, that doesn't necessarily mean that it translates into a sale. Right? I have your attention right now as students. If I told you to buy something that you didn't want, you're not going to buy it. But if you're literally seeing something you believe in to be true, or you're seeing something that you want in your heart because it motivates and drives you, then it goes beyond attention, right? That's where this is creating an influencers over you as such. So but sometimes the attention is what drives people to even, you watch something stupid and completely unethical, and you think that's funny, or you think, oh, that's, ooh, why would you do that? And sometimes people are
Uh, Sorry,
someone
I was just
go,
gonna say,
go ahead.
for like the Kardashian aspect of,
Yeah,
in my opinion, I just think that they're like marketing geniuses because they market themselves in a way that makes you want what they sell. They know how to market themselves as people.
yeah. So they're geniuses, right? Because they're so good at it. uh but from the ethical standpoint, what are they actually marketing? Are they supporting? It's funny because it's such a guy. I like, this is my opinion. I watched a little clip of one of the sisters. Can't remember her name. And she's like totally gaslighting the audience, where she's like, "Oh, all these Instagrammers now, they're all trying to push these images in your face, and they have Botox and makeup, and it's just not real. And, I love myself for who I am, and I honor myself for who, and I just want to be who I am. I just got some fillers, but that's who I literally, that's what she said." And I'm laughing. I'm like, you guys are the master class of that. All those people you're saying do that, learn from you. And but it's just so, but they really are quite marketing geniuses in that sense. But despite the fact that they have big brands, they make a lot of money, we're looking at ethics, right? So super effective at what they do. When you're dissecting the ethics of a situation, a lot of it's personal beliefs, a lot of it's the law, socialities, religion, and politics and culture that define ethics. And that's why it's just kind of gray when you look at ethics, right? So as far as your exam is concerned, they're looking at these definitions, right? how they sort of structure strategies for ethics. How do you manage ethics, right? So if I used this example and I tried to use this example or model to try to manage the ethics of a company, um, would it work? Would it not work? So at the end of the day, and I'm going to be very blunt, if something is illegal, people won't do it. If something is legal and socially acceptable, or pushing the social boundary of acceptance is sometimes the thing that gets the attention. Like we look at Madonna, like the history of Madonna. She was very, for her time, she's obviously she's a grandma now, right? But during her time, she was very edgy. She would, her song like a virgin and all her music was super edgy. Now it's very tame and mild by comparison, but pushing the social boundary was actually the ethical boundary in someone, the moral boundary, is what gave her all the attention, the spotlight, and people applauded her for that. I'm putting this in the context because sometimes the ethical relationship business-wise is more about, was it right to just fire all my employees because I wanted to give myself a raise and then outsource everything overseas to save money? And I know that my employees have families and they live paycheck to paycheck. Is that ethical? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, right? So as far as business is concerned, there's nothing unethical about that, right? You're just a human resource. But the reality though is that, what if I didn't do that? Would it crash my business? Did I have to do that? So ethics at times also includes, like, for example, do I want to be more sustainable? Do I want to use plastic or paper? If I know that the plastic goods are not recyclable and they're being trashed to some third world country and incinerated and destroying their ecology system, am I okay with that socially? Am I okay with that ethically? So ethics is many times is not a question about religion or it's about, is it legal or is it not legal? If it's not legal, then if it's not illegal, can I do it? And then if you move forward and do it, do people disagree or not agree with it? Because then it starts to interfere with the politics, the morality, the social aspect of it. And then you get this ethical context. Our opinion, my opinion, is that the ethics of a situation pertains to the right and wrong in our heart and our spirit of what we feel is good. If something causes me pain and suffering, if it degrades the social community of what binds us together as humans, then that creates a problem if you're challenging that barrier of things that keeps a community together. That's where something becomes socially questionable and ethical. So I'm going to let you guys go.
I have a question before we leave. Last question.
You got like 10 seconds. Go ahead.
Yeah. How about if something is socially binding, but is like truly unethical?
It's conjecture, right? That's totally conjecture, because maybe something you like to do, someone else despises. I haven't facial piercings and things, and it's bad, and someone else thinks it's good.
Like I'm saying, like, for example, let's say like chopping off your arm made you more like socially acceptable. Like right now, that sounds crazy. Like if I say this now, it sounds crazy.